the left is so nervous that there's this one commentator over on MSNBC who seems to be trying really hard to fill the footsteps of Rachel Maddow because she's only on once a week now. That would be Joy Reid. And Joy Reid just had a total meltdown. I mean, she just completely lost it. And she started talking crazy stuff, accusing the GOP of being in some kind of deep conspiratorial plot. I don't want to take any oxygen out of this before you've seen it because, well, I'm certainly not going to be able to do it justice the way Joy can. So enjoy.
At this point, you can't call what Trump is running a campaign. As friend of the show David Corn points out in Mother Jones, what Trump and J.D. Vance and House and Senate Republicans are running is a massive disinformation campaign aimed at warping Americans' reality. And they're doing it with violent, terrifying, and sometimes bizarre conspiracy theories that set the table for maybe armed resistance to a Kamala Harris win or mass acceptance of American fascism.
Okay, stop for 1 second. Joy, that's you that's talking about that, okay? Not me. That's you.
Trump and Republicans backed by far right-wing billionaires like Elon Musk and right-wing media and anti-woman manosphere podcasts are creating social media or gaming social media apps like X Twitter in Trump's favor and pumping disinformation into the brains of Trump supporters. Not quite foreign interference, but not exactly different from what Vladimir Putin would do. And in many ways, the disinformation campaign is working. Base Republicans today believe everything from Democrats secretly manipulating the weather from a secret base in Alaska to Trump being incapable of losing this election. He's winning in a landslide. And some Democrats are starting to believe the disinformation, too. Have you noticed how sharply the polls have shifted in Trump's favor over the last couple weeks? With these claims that Trump is surging with Black and Latino voters and leading in every single swing state, according to secret internal polls, despite all the Hitler talk. Yes, this race will be far too close. Because unfortunately, we do have a fascist groundswell in parts of this country, mainly among white men, let's be clear, but in small pockets among Black and brown men, too. This happens to be a global phenomenon as women become more economically independent and seek positions of power. But friend of the show Simon Rosenberg points out that just like in 2020 and 2022, dozens of right-wing polls have been dumped into the marketplace in the last few weeks, 12 in Pennsylvania alone. Those polls then swing the polling averages to the right, making Trump look strong and Kamala Harris look stalled. Now, there are lots of explanations for why you'd want to game the polls. Entrepreneurial Republican pollsters can certainly gain favor with Trump, who's apparently fuming about Vice President Harris's billion-dollar fundraising and positive press. And then there's the more sinister explanation that if Trump, Republican pollsters, and even jittery Democrats convince enough people that his victory is inevitable, how much easier would it be to claim that the election was stolen if he loses? And how much easier would it be to get his base to rise up and maybe even get violent the way they did when he lost the last time? How much easier would it be to get the Republican House Speaker or John Roberts and the right-wing Supreme Court conservatives to throw the election to Trump? These are the things we need to consider. Donald Trump is not running a normal election. He's talking America into damn near a civil war to terrify voters into supporting him. And if that doesn't work, he's laying the groundwork for insurrection 2.0.
Oh my gosh, right? I mean, really crazy talk. I mean, she's making a run for Rachel's job in a really big way, in more ways than one, because I used to think that Rachel was about as crazy as they came. And now I see this woman. And it's like she's trying to incite something. Hey, am I reading the room right? Right? Like that sounded very, frankly, dangerous. And super conspiratorial. So now, peace of my mind, you agree, right? Yes. So now, if Trump somehow wins, let me make sure I follow her logic right. It's really just a big giant conspiracy, and that somehow, like, you know, all the polls have just done this total like head fake with people and a psych op to make you think that Trump is winning, therefore you should vote for him. And then if he wins, then, you know, it was just all a charade. It was like a Putin type thing. I mean, this is wild, wild talk. Listen, lady, you know what? You're losing. It's your own freaking poll. It's NBC News. Thank you very much. It's NBC News that came out with this. And I realized you guys don't like it. But you know what? You don't actually then turn around and say it's all a big giant conspiracy. I mean, come on, you guys, like, play to win, right? Like, you stink with men. I'm sorry, Kamala, but it's not a surprise given the way you've talked about men over the last 3.5 years and then some. I mean, again, let me go back to NBC News, because Katty Kay, who appears on NBC News every single day on that Morning Joe show, admitted it. She's got a man problem.
But it's men. I mean, I think the real struggle for the Harris campaign is young men, older men, men of color, white men.
And you know what? If anyone has a conspiracy out there, I would argue it's the Kamala camp and MSNBC and some of the mainstream media.